just say thanks again. These guys at the Fed Uni, there's heaps of them here. If you've got any questions, go and say hello. These are the guys that give us the money so we can actually put this event on. So, Fed Uni, Fed TAFE, please. And the guys are great. Alright guys, a couple of things. Any rubbish left in the bins, please. If anyone wants a drink, come see me, put your hands up, whatever you want. This one's going to be one. This is Tessa Morgan. Tessa did one of the killer presentations at GCAP. And we've stolen her and we brought her to Ballarat because we just thought she was good. So this is Tessa Morgan. Tessa's skill sets are, but I think you're going to see a variation against the UI that Anna showed us. So please, welcome Tessa Morgan to the stage. Still not good enough. Welcome Tessa to the stage. Thank you very much. We're just prompting up the screen there, so we'll make sure we're good. One of the things that also too, you've got to the stage now, you've heard about game engines, design, you've heard about all these other secret jobs in the games industry. I've been in the games industry for over 30 years, and I haven't worked in any of those fields. But I've travelled the world, I've gone to New York, I've gone to China, and it's all through those secret roles within other companies. So there's heaps out there. If you've got an interest in games, we will find you a way to make money if you're good at what you do. If you're not, we won't. Tessa Morgan, please say thank you.
Hello. Yes. Hi, my name is Tessa Morgan, and so I am a one-woman animation team, and I'm working on a game called The Artful Escape. We're down in Melbourne. So what do I mean when I say one-person animation team? Well, we're a very small studio called Beethoven and Dinosaur. There are 6 of us, soon to be 7, so I'm the only person on the team who's looking after all the animation. So I have more of a generalized role where I do several different things in my sort of day-to-day work. And I mean, an overview is that I breathe life to the characters and creatures that are drawn by our artist, Brandberg. So she also did this beautiful poster. So this is sort of some snippets of the game as it looks today. I don't know which side my mouse goes on. I hope this loads.
You'll have to switch that
Okay, so what do I mean when I call myself a generalist? It means that I do several different things on the game. So I do the 3D modeling, I do rigging, and I do animation. So that's, as I said, because we're such a small team, if you're working in a larger studio, you might actually just have one person taking on those roles. So, and they're generally called specialists. So if you're doing 3D modeling in a larger studio, you're going to fall under the role of being a 3D artist. If you do rigging, you'll be a technical animator, and if you're just doing animation, then you'll just be an animator. So all of this is to say that if you only find one thing in this presentation that really excites you and inspires you, that's cool. Like, you can actually just focus on that thing. You don't have to learn everything to get into sort of the animation side of things. So just going to touch on some of the things that I do. So the first thing is 3D modeling, and this is the process of creating meshes in 3D space. So super duper basics. This is a cube in 3D space. Looks like a cube. However, the 3D software, how it actually thinks about it is a bunch of dots in space called vertices. So those yellow dots there are the vertices. So a cube is actually made of 8 dots in space. And the line between the 2 vertices is called an edge, which you can see highlighted here. And then 3 or more edges create a face. So very simple. So this is Francis. He's the main character of our game. He looks like a 2D drawing, but he's actually made up in 3D of all the meshes. So if I turn the outlines on and turn off the textures, this is what he looks like. actually like in 3D space. You can actually see he's sort of, he looks pretty weird. He's kind of stacked up, just because our game is this weird blend of like 2D characters and a 3D world. He's designed to just be seen from one camera angle. So if he's already designed to be seen from one camera angle, like why do we have him in 3D? Well, there's all these great perks. Because he's 3D, he can pick up light and shadows on the edges of his mesh, and also his hands are like fully modeled. Because he plays guitar, that means that we can fully articulate his fingers to animate instead of having to draw different hand poses. So yeah, we get a lot of cool things from him being in 3D. And then I found this video of someone modeling a little Charmander. I'm going to play. Oh no, sorry. Which side do I go? Okay, maybe I'll just go to the next slide. It was just a little process of someone modeling this guy. It was really cool. Left, it stops. I have to go to the right. Oh man. No, I thought I could go through. I'm just going to skip it. I'm sorry. Sorry, everyone. Right, so the next thing that I do is rigging. So this is a process of adding joints and controls to the 3D meshes that I make so that I can start animating. So this is Francis's control rig. So all those little like curved lines and stuff, they're all things you can drag and move around so you can start animating them. So this is one of my favorite processes to do. I love to build these rigs. So this is the rig in motion. This is Francis's run cycle. You can see how all the controls are moving around. So those controls, they don't move the mesh. They actually move these things called joints, which are a little bit tricky to see, but you can see those lines on top of the meshes. So the meshes are actually connected to the joints, and the joints are what we're moving to create the animation. So if I add the rig on top, you can see there's like some more stuff happening there now. You can see these like weird brown bones that are kind of appearing and disappearing. So Francis's leg actually has two different systems that we're using to animate. One is called an FK system, which is like you're moving the arm like this, and then it also has an IK system where you're moving the wrist and the joints are calculating the angle they need to be. And these are used for like different kinds of animations, so the system that I have there is I can switch between the two of them. So there's all these things that go on in rigging underneath the surface. There's so many complex ways that you can create movement. And then if I turn the geometry off altogether, this is actually what's creating an animation. And I think it looks quite impressive. And then when you turn all that up again, you just have your character running. So yeah, there's a lot of like complex things going on underneath the hood of a character just moving around. So the next slide has a bunch more characters and creatures from the game, and you will get a good idea of what my favorite thing to do with a rig is. So as you can see, there are lots of different characters and creatures in our game, and some of them have really simple rigs, and some of them have really complex rigs. And it's all about problem solving, working out what your character needs to do, how many animations they need to do, and then you can decide how complicated you want to get. So rigging, yeah, it's all about solving problems, and it's not just like, like solving a maths problem. It's like, how can I set this arm up to be able to swing freely but also hold a guitar? So if you have a brain like mine and loves to work things out and make things really efficient and figure out how to do things, then rigging might just be your jam. And riggers are highly sought after. They're not a usual thing that people go into, so if you find yourself enjoying it, then really consider specializing in it. And one of the last things I do in my job is animating, so creating these animations, which is basically keying the position of rotation of those controls over time to create motion. So this is Francis's walking animation. However, Francis doesn't just walk, he also runs and jumps, and he activates his guitar in a very fabulous manner, and he shreds while floating in the air, and he falls over sometimes. So currently Francis has over 2 constantly when you're playing a game. So that's things like, what buttons are you pressing? Is Francis in the air? How fast is he going? What is the angle of the ground that he's walking on? Is he talking to someone? So that all gets fed into the state machine, and then the state machine spits out what animation Francis should be playing. So if he's on the ground, he might be walking or running, like all those animations associated with what he does on the ground. But when he's in the air, it'll move over to that state, and it will start playing all the animations to do with being in the air. So this is a very simple one. This is actually more like what Francis's animation blueprint looks like in the game at the moment. So you can see that things get really complicated really fast. And that all comes together in Engine to create a character that you can run and jump and play guitar. So this is all of those animations starting to blend together in one of our test levels. So yeah, that's what I do. How did I get here? How did I get this job? First of all, I studied at Auckland University of Technology in New Zealand, the Bachelor of Digital Design. That was kind of focused on VFX, film, and animation. After that, I went to a place called Watermark, where I worked as an animator and an illustrator, and my job was to take illustrations from other artists and work out how to turn them into animations. So this is an artwork by a guy called Anton Petrov, and then this is a TV advert that was done based on his work. So at Watermark, that's where I started learning visual problem solving and using a variety of software and animation hacks to make something that feels cohesive. After that, I went to Brandberg, which is the mobile gaming studio in Wellington. That's where I worked on Doomsday Clicker and Rival Stars College Football. And that's where I started learning how to work in a team. So that's like producers, designers, sound designers, quality assurance, designers, programs, everyone who goes into making a game. That's where I first started working in Unity and game engines, and that's where I started learning how to create games, specifically mobile ones that are free to play. And so I started at Hip-Hop as a senior artist, and I just want to highlight that I got into that senior role despite having never worked in games before, but it's because my skill base was so applicable from working at Watermark. So I just want to highlight that because your journey into games might not always be a straight path. As long as you're building a solid skill base, there will be something in games that you can do. What do I love about my job? What are the cool things about working in games? So I get to work on really interesting and beautiful projects. There are so many amazing things out there. Games as a medium is still quite young, so there are still people pushing the boundaries and exploring new ways to make games, and it's really cool. I get a huge amount of job satisfaction, so you've probably heard me mention the term problem solving about 1 billion times in this presentation. So everything I do in my day-to-day job ticks all my brain boxes. I get, if I design a rig that works really well, that makes me happy for the rest of the day. So you got to work out what makes your brain tick and try and find a job that ticks that for you. I get to connect with a lot of like-minded nerds at industry events and places like this. So this is most of the Australian industry contingent that went to Game Developers Conference in San Francisco last year. Game developers are super creative and interesting and wonderful and weird people, and it's really cool to be able to connect with them, and everyone just wants to talk about the games they're playing or the games they're making, so it's really great being surrounded by people like that. And games is, well, there are events and things happening all over the world, so it's a really good excuse to go traveling. And also, I get to play games. Like when I play games now, it's like, it's research, so it's really great. So these are some of the games that I've played recently that I absolutely love. And if you're too young to be thinking about taxes, but you can write these off as, tax write-offs, which is really great. So if you're sitting here thinking, I'm inspired, what can I do right now? Like what can I do tonight or this weekend? Because a lot of things that we've talked about is things you can do when you go off to study or when you go into the workforce, but there are things you can do right now. If you want to be an artist, start drawing right now. Like just pick up a pen and pencil and start doodling every day. You want to be drawing people, You want to be drawing hands. I know that they are really hard, but get good at drawing hands. Trees, robots, houses, animals, just draw everything. You want to focus on building your technical skills, and you don't want to be precious about your drawings either. Just keep drawing. Everything that you drew today, you can draw better tomorrow, so don't dwell on one drawing until it's perfect. Just keep doing different ones. And I want to touch on this. Talent is a myth. Talent implies binary, which means that you're either talented or you're not. And if you're not talented, you can't do this thing. That's a really bad mindset to be in, because every artist that you see and you admire, every professional really, has put in thousands of hours of experimentation and learning and practice to get where they are. And if you just call them talented, that erases all of that, because they worked so hard. So don't think that, oh, I don't have talent, I can't do it. Don't use it as a scapegoat. If you want to do something, you just need to get out there and do it. And if you work hard, you'll get results. So I'm still learning every week, every month. I'm still getting on YouTube to learn how to do something. It never stops. And you'll always just be building on what you have. So more things for if you want to be an artist, get online and find artists that you love and follow. So Behance, ArtStation, Instagram and Twitter are really great places to find artists. You want to delve into their portfolios and their social media feeds, because you never know who actually makes little tutorials for their fans. There's a way you can just learn how to build up your skills. Quick Poses is a really great website in lieu of doing live drawing classes, so you can practice how to draw people. And if you are lucky enough to own or have access to a Wacom tablet, like a digital drawing tablet, Control Paint is another website that has heaps of amazing free digital drawing and painting tutorials, so I really recommend checking that out. If you're interested in getting into the 3D side of things, Blender is a free open source 3D software, and it's quickly becoming an industry standard for indie studios because it's free. And Maya, Autodesk Maya, also has free student versions or discounted student versions that you can get a hold of. That program has been around for decades, and it's also an industry standard. As many other people have said today, jump on YouTube. There's a plethora of amazing tutorials out there that are free, that are amazing. And if you're particularly interested in animation, but you don't want to learn the rigging side of things, and you don't want to learn how to model, there are actually heaps of free animation rigs out there, so you can just download them and start playing around with those controls and see what motion that you can get out of it. And if you just want to jump straight into making games, because you're a badass, you can download Unity and Unreal, which you'll have heard a lot about today. They both have stores that you can just get assets for free, so you don't have to make anything. And again, jump on YouTube, watch stuff, learn how to do it. The internet is full of really great learning resources, so it just takes initiative and time for you to go and find those things and start learning how to do them. But also, libraries are a great resource as well. If you want to go and do some drawing, just go to the library, get a bunch of books out from the nature photography section and start drawing animals and plants. It's as easy as that. Everything that you do today is a building block for landing your dream job in the future. So if you can start now, before you go to university, it's just going to be a head start. And it's going to teach you valuable skills that you can then take on through your career for the rest of your life. So that's it. Thank you so much. I'm on Twitter if you want to ask me any questions. I use Maya. The question was, which program do I use? At my current job, I use Maya, and I use that because that's what my boss is using before. At Watermark, I was using Cinema 4D, which is not, you don't tend to hear people talk about that for games, but Cinema 4D is an amazing program, as well as using for doing animating and motion graphics and online wonderful program as well. Cool. Alright,
Hey guys, Tessa, thank you. That's a good one, guys.
Alright, we've got one with an iPad, and we're going to have a panel. Come on, Kelly, where's the iPad? Alright, and then we're going to have a panel. This one here that we're going to do afterwards is a good one for you to do some Q&As with, and then we're going to also have some local dev guys up as well. So, one of the guys that's helped us out this year, last year, Telstra, but our big supporters have been Ballarat City Council. Kelly's our representative from Ballarat City Council. Please welcome to her to the stage because she's going to give you an iPad.
Marcus, do you want to come here with me? Yep. So I'd like to introduce you to Marcus Swinburne. Marcus is our very cool friend from Telstra who brings the iPad with him every year. So we're going to announce the winner, and then I'm going to ask that winner to come up on stage and have a photo taken with Marcus and myself, and any game devs who want to jump in, maybe Tessa. And Telstra will then be posting that on their social media, which has a pretty massive reach actually, so you'll be famous. So, Telstra iPad Comp. It was fun doing it this year with the SMSs, but interestingly we had more paper forms handed in than we did tests. We had 44 entries overall, and we shortlisted it down to about 10 or so, and then I asked a very special guest to judge the winner. And that special guest was Robert Dance from the Fed Uni IT crowd and from Chaos Shard Studios. He's way in the back there. Robert's one of our Ballarat game devs, and Robert and Nicole are both co-founders of Chaos Shard, so I hope you've been in to see their game. So this year we've got a real flavour around local Ballarat developers, and so we wanted a local to judge the winner. This tagline really resonated with Robert, I think because of the journey that he's taken himself in getting to where he and Nicole are now with their own studio in Ballarat. So the winning tagline is "Create Your Story," and it was submitted by Jack Sheehan from St Patrick's College. I need someone to volunteer to take a photo. Yeah, yeah.
Hold on. Okay. All right, we'll make it there.
Okay guys, now we're going to catch up with some Q&As, alright? I'm going to run a little bit of a panel, so Tim, Tessa, Anna, Tony, Casey, where's Casey? Casey, come on Casey. What we're going to do now is pretty much just open this one up for a bit of a chat, right? We've done this for a lot of years, it takes a little bit to get it started, but this is where you can ask your questions of these people. Come on. Get into it. If you've got questions, ask them. Because you go back to school next week, you won't have the access. Please welcome all the industry guys up. Please make yourself welcome. Can we hit the restart button, please? Sorry, game over. Apologies to Tim. Trick chair. And we'll start again. These are your industry reps. Ask them the questions, ask them clearly. The harder you work, the more knowledge they will give you. Alright, so I'm going to introduce Tim Best to get this one started, and we'll go from there. Please welcome Tim to the stage, because he's just fallen off the back of it.
Alright. We'll probably need this to hand around, and I will try not to do any more stunts today. Although I feel like my break fall was pretty good. It's one of the things you learn as a game dev, the tuck and roll. So learn to do some sort of martial arts. They're good. Keto, you know, bridge fall at the back. Yeah. With these panels, we want to really help you explore the nooks and crannies that we don't touch on, because there's a lot of knowledge up here and assumptions that we make, and we might miss some very simple things. So these panels are really good to sort of explore that. Should I start just, maybe I'll just ask a question. It's like, Casey, what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of starting out in a more regional area?
Well, I'll start with disadvantages. So there's not a lot of people that you can connect with. They all seem to be very far away. They take time to reply to emails, and if you want something sort of answered straight away, it's really hard to find someone to connect with. Some of the pros, though, to being in a regional startup is you get a lot of community support, so lots of backing from the community. Things like the City of Ballarat are really helpful for funding and getting the word out to other people about what we do. Another disadvantage, well, not another disadvantage, but something that's also really struggling being a startup in regional towns is travel. So I'm sure we're all aware of V-Line. They do a really great job, but people from, from Geelong, from Melbourne, sometimes think that we are miles away, but we're really like an hour and a bit on the train. So getting that across and just travelling, sometimes you have to get up and go to Melbourne. So when I did do study, I was up at 5 a.m. I caught a 6 o'clock train, so I could be there by 9. I did that for a full year. So napping on the train was just a common thing, but I don't know, I feel like I kind of derailed from that question. So I think there's pros and cons to being a regional startup. You can definitely get support from community here, but a lot of the massive events and everything seem to happen in Melbourne or Geelong.
Thank you. All right, here's a general question. What would you like to say to a younger you if you were just in a high school, just at a gig, and you would, what knowledge do you have to impart? Lightning round, sentence or two. Make it nice and easy. Who wants to go first?
Coding, learn how to blueprint, basic things, very basic. Maths.
Maths is important.
I was just talking about this with Tess over lunch. If I could go back and encourage myself to actually pay attention in all the other courses that I thought were going to be irrelevant, because I already thought that, all right, well, I'm just going to do graphic design. This is the only thing that I'm going to do. And now, working in the industry, I'm like, God, I wish I paid more attention to programming, to design, and to all the other aspects as well. So, yeah, practice everything. Specialize into what it is you want to do, but still have a general understanding of all of the aspects.
The thing I'd probably tell myself, my little self, would be, it's going to be okay. I think there's so many times where I was bogged down by a problem or something just overwhelmed me completely, to the point that I wouldn't sleep at night. And you already experiencing this, right, at school. Like, you have that stress. If I could go back and just tell me, like, hey, it's okay. If you let this pass, if you go to sleep, the sun will still rise in the morning, the earth will continue to rotate, your friends will still be, your family will still love you. Like, it is going to be okay. There is nothing that's that important that it costs you your health, it costs you your mental health, your mental well-being. That would probably be my biggest message to me.
I think I can add one last thing as well. Nobody has a clue of what it is we're actually doing. We're all making it up as we go along.
I just found out there was a 5 a.m. Like, people just said there's 5 a.m. I don't know. That's you. Yeah.
But even when it comes to a lot of the things that I do on a daily basis, if I don't know something, I Google it. I have to Google things related to my job all the time. like we look like we know what we're doing, really nobody has any idea. So don't worry, we all know as little as you do. Don't stress, we figure it out, we Google things.
Touching on that, there is more than one way to learn something. So if you're getting taught something at school or at university and you just don't understand it, take a look online to see if there is another way that it's being explained to you that makes you understand. So an example, part of my job is I do scripting, which is writing, using code writing tools to automate things and make my job easier. When I got taught that at university, I hated it because just the way that I got taught, it just didn't work with me, it wasn't applicable. But last year I went and found a course and did it online, and all of a sudden it's one of my favourite things to do. So just because you're not understanding something the way that someone is teaching it to you, go and learn how to learn how you learn, and go and find other places that are teaching the same thing but in a different way.
Yeah, and for me, it's the sort of lessons of failure. It's like, invest in something, be bad at it, be better the next time. That sort of, don't be afraid. And don't be afraid to fail publicly, because then you can just stand back up after you've fallen off stage, take the mic, and just keep going, and then you'll know how to sit up better next time. All right, so questions. What do you want to learn about being more? Yes.
Would you recommend doing a big project first as a beginner, or doing little projects to get the skills first?
I think we all probably have a very strong opinion on that. Do you want to have a guess what the panel consensus is?
I want to hear.
Okay. Teeny tiny. Take that big project and think of something fun about it and make that big. And then when you've thought about that, take half of that and then make it smaller. Like I was learning code, I learned to build Pong in Processor, which isn't even a game engine, but that, yeah, teeny tiny steps, because then you also learn how to make a complete game. You don't learn how to start lots of games. Anyone else?
That's something that we have to still reiterate for teams working professionally all the time. When we're creating a games feature, we have this idea, all this stuff that we want to do, and the first thing we do is we trim it in half, and then we cut it again, and then we cut it again. And then a week later, once we start fleshing it out, you cut it in half again. Because you cannot actually make everything that you want to. It's not realistic, and you're going to get sucked into details. So, as Tim said, find the crux of what it actually is that you're passionate about, find the interesting bit, and just do that.
One of the things that you fall into if you start a big project and you get stuck on it, is that your skills will get better and better, and then you'll look back on the stuff that you made in the beginning and you're like, oh, well, I can do that better, I better redo it. And then you just keep on in the same loop and you're not finishing the project and moving on. A good example of that is Stardew Valley, which was in production for like 7 years or something, and he redid all the character portraits about 3 or 4 times because his skills just kept improving. So if you do short projects, your skills get better, and then you can apply that to something new and new and new, and then you're just getting better and better and better. And you're producing more stuff as well. You have more for your portfolio instead of just having one project that displays everything from all sorts of different ranges in your skill.
All right, next question, please. All right.
What has been the most inspirational thing that has happened, or the most inspirational thing you've ever read?
Read. What is the most inspirational thing that you've had happen or that you have read?
Cool. So, I was watching on Netflix a TV show called Street Food, and I actually told these guys about this quote that someone said on the show just last night. They said, if you could be anything in the world, any sort of animal, what would it be? And his reply was, I would be a whale. And they're like, well, that's kind of a really big, slow creature. But he said, the key to being a whale is you're so big that you can create your own waves. You can build your own paths, which is amazing, because once you start building your own paths and your own different ways in different industries, life becomes unpredictable, and that's where you grow. So you grow and you adapt to different things that take you on different paths. So if you could be an animal, definitely be a whale and make your own path.
There's a little quote from this guy who does a podcast called This American Life, which is Ira Glass, and he talks about your taste in something is always going to be really, like, if you love it, it's going to be fine-tuned. But your ability to make it is going to be nowhere near the same. So the first thing you make, like if you make music and you love, I don't know, just pick anyone, or you make games and you love Fortnite, and you look at your game and it's like it's Pong, and you compare it to Fortnite, it's going to be terrible, because your taste is so evolved and you know exactly what you like and you know it's really good, and you're not making that thing which is good. But the thing is, your ability to create catches up to your taste. So that's one of those things. If you've got really refined taste, it's going to be hard to make something that measures up. Practice will help you do that. So don't get upset when you make something really basic. But, you know, because, yeah, it's one thing which is really advanced, and having that good taste will help you make really good things in the future.
I remember this moment really clearly. So I grew up playing games with my brother on PlayStation and old computer games and stuff. And then when I was a teenager, I kind of just stopped playing because a lot of the games that were coming out weren't very appealing to me. I wasn't the target audience, so I just sort of gave up on games for a while. Like, they're not making games for me anymore. And then in my early 20s, I was playing games with my brother again, and we played this game called The Stanley Parable. Has anyone played that game? Yeah, a few hands. So this is going to be a bit of a spoiler, and I'm really sorry, but still go and play the game because it's amazing. But we got to the space of sort of like what we thought was the end of the level, and then the alarm started flashing, and there was a countdown of it going to get, self-destruct. And Jacob, my brother, and I were running around like, oh, what do we do? Oh, there's some numbers. Maybe we have to go to the number and press the button. And so we go to 1, then we went to 2, and then we went to 3. And the narrator was like, ha ha ha, look at you running around, pressing numbers like you think it's going to do something, what a fool. And me and my brother just looked at each other and laughed, because it was like, that's exactly what we were doing. And for me, that moment was like, man, games got crazy while I was away. You know, like, this is what people are making now. I don't have to play games where I'm just firing and shooting at people anymore. I can have these really crazy, interesting experiences. And that got me so excited for games again. So that's a kind of turning point in my head where I got thinking about games and how exciting it was to work in this medium again.
Yeah, I think that was something that was so monumental for me as well when I got into the games industry, was redefining what the term gamer was. I'd never called myself a gamer, but then if you'd asked me what I played growing up, I'd be able to list 5, 6, 7 games that I played rapidly growing up, but I had just not taken on that thing. So just having someone redefine that for me was really important, and being like, you don't need to play shoot 'em ups to be a gamer. Any game is valid. But I think one of the biggest, most monumental things that that I've kind of remembered from someone else is actually from a friend of mine who was teaching me to play League of Legends, which I then apply on to everything. He told me, prepare to suck. Just when you start, you are going to suck, and that's okay. And you're going to continue to suck for like 6 months at least, and you're gradually just going to suck a little less every time. And that's fine. And that's something that I apply to everything that I do. Like, I can't draw stick figures to save my life, but I can sit down and I can suck at it, and I can keep going until I suck a little less. And that goes for everything.
Two things for me. The first, my favourite quote ever was by Isaac Newton, and it's, if I've seen a little further than others, it is because I've stood on the shoulders of giants. And that's the way I view my entire career. I always look back at people who I admire, who have done just amazing things, and realise that they were on a path as well. They didn't just land in that position, they travelled to get to that point. And I take a lot of inspiration from the world around me, from people around me, people I deal with and talk to every day, whether it's industry, friends, family. That actually builds me up and kind of pushes me forward. And then in games specifically, there are moments I think that remind you of this industry that we're in. And for me, you know, Tess actually reminded me of this. It was Gone Home. Who's played Gone Home here? All right. This is a game you should play. And something of a spoiler. At the end, I cried. And that reminded me of the fact that we can inspire these emotions, we can evoke these emotions rather. And it taught me what this medium actually is and what it can do. And it's those little things that keep me going and kind of why I wake up in the morning and go, this is going to be a good day. So, yeah.
Okay. Yes, there.
This one's specifically for you, Tim. You had a Bachelor in English at the start of your career, obviously. How did that transfer to game design?
Well, it went through a step over games journalism. So the first job one of the first jobs I applied for was in a place called Conspiracy Publishing, and they just said, you need to be technologically minded and have experience writing. And it was actually for a games magazine called Australian PC Gamer, and I applied for the lead editor job, and I got the staff writer job, and which was fine, because I was quite fresh out of uni at that time. And yeah, I started writing about video games, and I've always had, like, at high school, my highest scores were in physics, like physics, chemistry, calculus, whatever the other silly maths is, high maths is, and then art and English were my lowest two scores. So I've always had this very rounded thing, and I just found I loved breaking down how games worked, how I felt they could work better. And then I got a job as a researcher at a company to help research a game, then I moved into design. And one of the interesting things about game development, which is also a little bit sad and hopefully will change, is that we can be a bit snobby. So when I got my first job as a designer, the management said, we don't really want you doing design. But the designer I was working with was like, no, you can do this design. And I just put things, and they'd be, yeah, that's fine, but we don't really want you doing design. But yeah, so you can come into these jobs, you just have to understand games, be passionate, do it. You know, that's the thing, like some people are really passionate, go, I love games, that's great, but what are you actually doing? What are you willing to do to get your hands dirty in the games and get in amongst it and pull things apart and build things? And I think that's kind of what's important. All right. Anyway, hit me.
Okay, so can it be difficult or challenging to let go of a game your team has created?
Yes, okay, yes, I'll repeat that. Can it be difficult to let go of a game that you've created? There are sort of, for me personally, there's two different times that happens. That's one, when there's a game you're super passionate about, like one of the ones I had up there, Leaves, which is a fairy tale game, which has not, I pitched it, I wrote it, it was based on a story that was very personal to me, and we were building it, and I couldn't quite get it to work. You had to sort of leave it to do other things. And that's one where I'm like, no, I'm going to learn programming, I'm going to finish this game. I'm really not going to finish that game. But that's really hard. But the other time is when you release a game after working on it for years, it's so weird. It's such a high, but then it's also, now what do I do? You know, anyone else?
So yeah, as a UX designer, one of my jobs really is to fight with everyone else on my team, because I am the advocate for the player. So as a usability designer, I have to view the game through the eyes of the final consumer, whereas a lot of the development team are making a game from their eyes. They have a vision. Often it's the designers and the producers that they have a vision. They're so passionate about this one core concept that they want to implement. And it's the UX designer's role to just say, it's not going to work. You need to let this go. And the only way to convince someone to do this is get a prototype and put it in the hands of a player. Go out and test it. And make sure that your designers, or the key people who are fighting so passionately for their concept, get them to watch other people testing your game. Because when they can see the struggles, they can see where the problems are, that makes the penny drop, and they go, okay, I get it. Actually, that's not working. We have to let go of that. We have to try it in a different way. And so you always have to advocate for the player, always test it. If there's a dispute internally where one member of your team wants to do one thing and another member wants to do another thing, prototype up both of them really quickly, go out and test it. Put it in someone else's hands and see how they play it, and you'll get your answer straight away. And make sure that the people are watching this, and they'll see immediately, oh yeah, actually that doesn't work. Kill your darlings, as Tony said. And make it for your players, because you're not making a game for yourself. You're making a game for people to play. And that's something you have to remember.
So actually, just to follow up on something Tim and just said, you'll notice when a game is released, sometimes the developers go really, really quiet. Games are a deeply personal thing to make, and Anna was just saying you don't make games for yourself, you make games for others, which is absolutely true, but you're still making it. It's still yours. And when it's released, it's not yours anymore. It now belongs to others, and they're going to have things to say about it, some of which can be cutting. But that's why it's the sense of loss when your game goes out into the wild. It's the weirdest thing when you should be doing cartwheels. This is your heart that's now in the public domain. So that's why you'll actually notice that we do vanish, when a game comes out. It's because it's not ours anymore. It's yours. It's a really strange place to be.
On a related note, reviews can be amazing. Like, when you have a game that's reviewing pretty well, the bad reviews are hilarious. But when it's not, like, we had one review which just said, "You suck." Didn't talk about the game, just said, "You suck." Oh, good size. That was funny, but otherwise the game is at like 4.5 stars, so that was funny. But when you have a game which is like 3 stars, all of those ones, you're just like, oh, yes. All right. Was Martin gesturing?
Martin, were you gesturing?
3. All right. Backside. Yes.
What was the biggest thing you had to work on in
The biggest thing you had to work on in what? All right. What's the biggest thing you had to work on in Unreal Engine?
That's a difficult
Yeah. What do you mean, like the biggest game that we've worked on collectively? Together or separate? Well, not in Unreal for me. Yeah, the engine is, you don't care about the engine, just the biggest games we've worked on? The ones that...
Like the biggest game we've worked on, or the
Yeah, is this just for Tony in Unreal or just us in general? Alright, so for me, I helped out with Disney Crossy Road. So, the Crossy Road and Disney Crossy Road came through our studio, so that's the biggest one for me.
For me, it's actually the game that I'm working on now is probably the biggest one, because before, as you saw in my presentation, I was just doing mobile games. So this is the first time that I'm working on a game, sorry, not just mobile games. This is the first time I'm working on a game that's going to, it's coming out to Xbox and then PlayStation and PC and everything else. So, we're only 6 or 7, but there's a lot of eyes on our project, so yeah, it's the biggest one for me.
The instinctive answer is to say The Sims and Need for Speed, but the most interesting answer, I think, the thing that people don't know and appreciate that I have found most rewarding about having worked at EA was getting to work on EA's internal engine. So EA uses something called Frostbite for their consoles, and then Osiris for all their mobile engines. And the Osiris engine is actually made in Melbourne. That is actually developed at Fire Monkeys. So us as developers inside of the studio, we helped create that. And so the engineers that work on that, they're all geniuses in my world. But they come to us and ask us, what do you need in this tool? What can we do to make your life easier? So just having been able to help develop an engine that's used for EA worldwide, that's been amazing. And help make UI designers' lives easier being like all around the world.
I don't know how to follow that. So, actually, the questions Tim reminded me of this because I've known Tim for well over 20 years now. He was in publishing when he first entered the journalism side of things. I've been pretty lucky. Like, not everything I've worked in has been Unreal Engine, it's been multiple engines. I think the games you work on kind of almost define us. So I've always been in that business side of games. So I was the marketing director for a few companies. I've worked on things like Fallout and Fallout 2 and Command and Conquer. And I worked really closely with BioWare for a very, very long time on Baldur's Gate and a few others. They're all really close friends of mine now. So I've had the luxury of working on some really cool games. Yeah, it's interesting because at the time, you don't know how successful they're going to be, and there are all those stresses that go along with games. When they do come out and then they are as successful as they've been, you step back and go, like, okay, yeah, cool, what's next? So yeah, that answers your question. I did all of it. I did all of Baldur's Gate. Yeah, that was all Mass Effect. Totally. Yeah, so yeah, those are games that I've worked on. Some of them.
It's so cool when things get released and you're like, I did a thing. I did that.
How are we going for time? One more.
After this, after the break. We're all
Alright. Someone else. Choose the lucky last. Choose the lucky last.
One thing I want to show is the whole like UI thing.
Oh, okay, alright, yep, that's good, yep. Alright, hit us.
I have a question specifically for Anna. When you described the character designer, you said that they took the ideas from other people and gave them a design. But are they able to make their own characters from scratch?
This is actually a design question. So a designer is often the person who writes the script for the game. So they'll visualize, they've got an idea of who these characters are, what they look like, and how they grow. But you still need someone with artistic talent to sit and actually create that physically. So they will take instructions from the person who's envisioned this game and then give that physical form. The concept artists are usually the ones who do that initial visualization of what these characters are going to look like. Yeah, the character artist will take these instructions and then sit and do the more technical work of actually creating it.
I just want to make it, so you have the designer and they will usually brief the concept artists. So I want a female character in her early 30s. She's really badass. She's been in a few wars. She's no nonsense. She's no frills. Blah blah blah. That's the idea of the character that the designer will have, and then that'll go to the concept artists. And the concept artist, their job is to create lots of different designs until they get the one that's right. So when you're thinking of being a concept artist, don't think of you're going to sit and noodle away at a painting until it's absolutely perfect. You're the ideas person. You're trying to get as many different things. So you'll probably actually be drawing 8 or 9 different versions of this character until you get it right. And then the character artist is the one who takes that and then builds it for however you need it. So if you need a 3D model, they'll build all the final artwork for it. If you need it to be 2D, they'll do the 2D rendering. So it's not like they're usually working in one specific software or style. They're the ones who take the concept and create the final product for you. Does that make sense?
I think that makes a really interesting point, is when you're thinking about that design and characters, like let's use it as an example, it's very rarely a one-person thing. There are so many people involved, and this is probably something we could maybe explore after the next break, but there are so many people involved in that creative process, and that's amazing, working with people and fleshing out those ideas is probably one of the best parts about game development. But, yeah.
All right, I think it is time to take a break. So be free.